Live episode 253. First off, put the camera on me real quick because I got to address the elephant in the room. This is 90 days of beard growth for me. Wait, hold on. Y'all ain't supposed to laugh. Wait, hold on. This is, why y'all laugh? This is, I think it's time for me to let it go. What you think, Casey?
Dog, look good.
It's progress.
This is 90 days.
It's forming. Like at least the bottom is
Bro,
forming.
I'm real stressed out about whatever this strip is right here, man. It does not work. Like I'm looking real crazy right now. There's people in my DMs like telling me to cut this shit off.
Well, you're not married to them.
Exactly.
No, what your wife saying?
Pay none of your bills.
My wife is saying whatever suits you.
Exactly.
That's a nice way.
Which means cut it off.
Which is the politically correct way of I support you, whichever way.
Yes.
Look, this
Thug it out.
Man, this is tough right now. This is really tough.
Thug it out.
I'm ugly as it is. When you throw this on top of it.
We're not going to argue with that.
We're not.
Yeah, wait, hold on. You a guest, bro.
I'm sorry. I'm not even supposed to talk. I'm here, yes.
This is episode 253, special episode of the Pour Horsemen. Okay, Casey and I are here holding it down.
For sound effects, like
we do all that after.
That's in post. That's in post. Professional.
He tried to take over the podcast already. You know what I'm saying?
We do not do that.
We do add stuff in there. We do it not sound effects, but we add stuff in.
Boom, sound effects.
Bomb on it. Boom.
We don't have that soundboard.
We do have the soundboard. We just don't use it.
Boom.
We got the full soundboard. We just don't use it.
Ain't that a bitch?
We need drops,
I did not know this.
We have the full soundboard.
I have not known we had.
What do you think?
253.
What do you think those 9 buttons are on there?
I thought that was like the camera views.
No, on that other thing, there's soundboard.
This whole episode gonna go off the rails.
Yeah, all our stuff does. Okay, so 253. Professional podcasters here in the building, and we have a professional in the building with us as well. Y'all may have seen this brother on a variety of things. I was gonna do like a formal introduction. I've seen some interviews that you've done, but since I know you, I don't even feel right doing the full
in real life.
I know you in real life, so I don't feel right doing the full. Oh yeah, let's turn off the music. You good? You walk on. This is a podcast. You good, John? So So Daylon, please introduce yourself to the audience.
Oh,
camera on Daylon real quick.
I'm shy.
Wait, Casey, does he appear shy, brother?
No.
So
hold on. Move that mic just a little closer. I know you loud, but just a little closer.
5 heartbeats, shy brother.
Shy brother. I play shy brother. Actually,
you see him over there with the goofy little face. You know,
that's me. I play shy brother.
Please,
all day long.
Camera on, Mr. Goff. Please. Introduce yourself to the audience, sir.
My name is Daylon.
And your camera's that one right
My camera
there.
right here.
Yep.
Yes, and professional. Yes, podcast.
Professional podcast.
Yes, this is a professional podcast. My name is Daylon A. Goff. I am just a kid from Kansas City who went to the University of Oklahoma with
Boomer.
this guy to my right sooner, who, got to do some cool things in this life in these 45 years. So my current role of what I do and what I'm proud to be a part of is I am the proud president of Jet. And usually when I say that, I usually just stop at Jet because they'll go, wait, Jet Magazine? And I'll go back and forth on why I do that. But I'm the proud president of Jet. And, never in a million years would I ever believe that I would be heading this iconic brand or bringing this iconic brand back to life, back to relevance. But I am, and I'm here, and it's a job that I take very, very serious. But it's also an honor and a privilege and something that, is special. I know it's special because every time I talk to someone and I tell them what I do for a living, they immediately give me what I call their Jet story.
No doubt.
And because everybody has one. Everybody has this relationship to the brand.
What's your Jet story?
He's ready.
Put it on. What is it?
Beauty of the week.
I know. Usually, and in most cases, it starts with page 43. So I don't even call it.
And this is for my partner, but
you got
43.
Your page 43 merch on there?
43 was like, it's always been a part of my life, apparently. Because
that's part of it. So I get to, figure out the ways to bring this brand back to life and take all the experiences that I've had the pleasure of doing up until this point and take little nuggets of all of that in order to be able to pour it into this brand to make it relevant again. So happy to be here. I had to pull up to Houston for some meetings and some things happening this weekend. So I called my brother and was like, yo, I'm trying to come on the podcast. I love what y'all doing. I want to be a part of it. I want to be able to have these type of conversations because they're necessary. And I appreciate y'all for allowing me to come in your space.
Definitely appreciate that. Straight up. You see, he listens.
Yeah, no, So I'll kick it started because I've known. So Daylon probably graduated 02, 01? When did you graduate? Okay.
I was there long enough.
We weren't gonna go. We weren't gonna go.
Add another one. George came out 02. I came that December of 01 after 5.5 glorious years at the University of Oklahoma.
I was in the 8th grade.
Yeah, and so I got to OU in 99.
I'm gonna go over here and drink.
No, go ahead. You pour up, open it, go ahead and open it. Go
this is what happened.
So I got to OU in 99.
I'm gonna go coffee real quick, and I'm gonna be over there in a second.
And when he says never in a million years did he think he'd be doing this, I disagree. Daylon always been someone moving the culture and moving the needle forward, even at a place like OU. Now, Casey, you've been on OU's campus several times. There's only a small group of us.
Yep.
Now, back then, we were a little bigger.
Yeah, there was the black renaissance of the 90s.
92 to 2002, I think.
You know, pre all of this, getting rid of affirmative action, but that's a whole nother story.
And I would say, Daylon, if he had a party, anywhere, you wanted to be there at OU. To the point where we talked about it some, and this will probably be a Patreon segment, but we'll allude to it now. I may have met my spouse at a party that Daylon had at his house.
House party. Oh, that was that was the Pastor Cavassier party. Oh, man.
No, hold on. We'll fix you. Hold on. We'll do that. You good? Go ahead and put that in. Professional podcasting.
But the Pastor Cavassier party of 2001.
Yeah, that was about the time when all that went down. But to that point, I'll give you some flowers now before we even get into the interview. You was destined for a lot of this, like straight up, because there aren't a lot of people who can build a community. And from what I've known of you, you've been building a community since I've known you from college. The same thing that we're doing here. Yeah, building a community, getting people to be engaged with you, not to follow, but build the community, support, be involved with what you're doing. I think it's perfect aligned with what you're doing now.
The crazy part is the correlation between then and I tell people when they're asking me about, oh man, how is it? This reminds me of that. Yeah. I tell people all the time, being the president of JET is a direct correlation to being the DJ on the campus of the University of Oklahoma. If you break down, even just going to a party, if you think about what happens at a party. All right, I'm the DJ. I'm coming there. They paying me what was I making? Like $200 a party? I was balling.
If that, man. But that's crazy.
I went up in price at 25.
Yeah.
Started like 150, 175, got to 200. But, you do a couple parties. Rent wasn't that much.
It wasn't that much.
Yeah. And so what I would do, though, is you would hire me for a party. A fraternity, sorority hire me to do the party. And I was on campus, so everybody knew me. We were in class together. I ain't hard to find. I still ain't hard to find, and try to make sure I maintain a certain level of that. But then you would get to the party, and parties start at 10 o'clock. A couple people there, the people throwing it, and a couple people there early because they trying to get in free or for the low. And without fail, and mind you, this is 99 to the 2000s, so keep that in mind. Without fail, someone would come up to the table early in the party. It's like 5, 10 people there. And they'll be like, hey man, can you play that Back That Ass Up? And I'm like, dude, it's like 4 people here. This is the hottest song out. Why you want me to play it right now? And I had a whole rule of not playing songs twice. Yeah. And it was like, I'm going to play it. I'm telling you, you need to play this, because they felt entitled to be able to tell me that because they didn't pay their $5 to get into the party.
Man, that $5 was a lot, though, back in the day.
$5 was a lot, so they feel a part of it. And so they felt entitled to come up and tell me because they know me. And I'm like, all right, I got you. So I would have to take that into account. And then you will also have situations of where people will come, and this is even if the party is jumping, they will come in and, asked me to play a song, and that song is not the right song that I would ever play. I use the example, and she might kill me on this. Well, I won't even say her name, but there is a Delta from OU who at every party would come up. She would be in there a little bit tipsy and ask me to play If This World Were Mine by Luther Vandross.
If this world was mine.
At a college party. At a college party.
You were looking for love.
Yeah, I was like, yo. And she'd be like, please, that's my favorite song. Can you play it? I'd be like,
love and basketball.
Yeah. I'd be like, no, we're not doing that. And then there was another situation of where, never forget, this football player came up, and this is right when the Mystical album dropped. And I was playing, the first single off of that was Shake Your Ass. Well, watch yourself, man, so that Neptunes, that was bumping. And he was
I came in the room with my dick in my hand.
Yeah, I know, which is so problematic.
Exactly.
You know what? But the songs back then were problematic.
Everything about
but
that
now,
man.
of what you know about Mystical,
Exactly.
and he
even worse.
Everything about that man is problematic.
We got to cancel, brother.
Exactly. But so he would come up and that was the song I was dropping, and he would be like, nah, dog, there's another song on there you need to drop. It's this song called Danger.
Oh, okay.
And I would be like, all right, I hear you. Then I listened to it. I was like, Danger. Oh, yeah, we're going to throw that in the mix real quick.
Yeah.
So the way that correlates to where I am right now, because I probably get more suggestions or requests about what I should do for my job now.
Everybody telling you.
You know what you need to do.
Yeah.
You know what you need to do. So you have, think back to those scenarios I gave you. You have the right song at the wrong time. The right song and back that ass up, but I'm not playing this at 10 o'clock with 4 people here. Yeah. Just for you and your couple friends just because you want to hear it.
Straight up.
Also, you have the wrong song at the wrong time and in correlation to suggestions. People give me suggestions. I'd be like, that's never going to happen. We're not going to do that whatsoever. Doesn't make any sense. Or you have the right song at the right time. So I have to be able to listen to all those things and keep that line of communication open from the community that I'm serving, because a great idea can come from anywhere. But two things gonna happen. If it goes right, I'm gonna get the credit for it. If it goes wrong, I'm gonna get the blame for
Straight
it.
Up.
So it can be your idea, and if it goes wrong, I get fired, or we lose money, or we go bankrupt.
Yeah.
I have to make the right decision in the same way as if I play the wrong song at the party, whole dance floor leave, boo, DJ's motherfucker.
You're gonna be like Martin on House Party.
All that. You don't want that part of it, because I'm in control of the vibe. I want to make sure it's building that community. Everybody is emotionally invested in it, and I want to make sure it's the best time that people have. So you have the fond memories that you have and be like, man, that party was jumping and whatnot. But if it goes wrong, I'm the only one that gonna get fired, and I'm not gonna get hired for the next party.
Straight up.
I want to pay my rent. But also at the same time, I dropped that. No matter what happened, whenever I played that back that ass up, person that told me at 10 o'clock, they was like, that was me. Yeah. I told him to play that. And I'm like, sure.
They took the credit for it. Knowing you was going to play it anyway.
But they they felt the need in order to be able to do that. So it's been able to take all that and be comfortable and confident enough with the experiences that I had to be able to put the things in place at the time they need to be put into place for the community and the culture that truly loves us and wants to be a part of what we do in the future.
Now, that whole metaphor, comparing your DJ to the party goer suggestions, bad suggestions, to your job now, was so smooth. And I feel like
I
feel like a nice part of that comes from the smoothness. The smooth tequila from Grand Cormino. Yes, sir.
That is smooth. I appreciate
branding
that.
and marketing, of course.
All right, Grand Cormino.
All right, so let's talk through a few things. Let's talk through a few. I ain't even got a cup. I had to get one. I'm gonna get one. But we're gonna work on it. We're gonna work on it. You got me, but it's got ice in it though. You know, y'all over here with ice and stuff. You know, I'm a man. You know, I just drink I just drink it out the bottom.
Your collar is all the way up.
What you mean? This is the style. I've been wearing my shirts like this since '99.
I'm a man, but his beard won't connect.
Okay, so you how you gonna come and jump? Wait, how you gonna come? You ain't even allowed to jump yet.
I'm sorry. You're right. I'm professional.
Professional podcast.
Oh, now I'm talking
He's known me since I was 17 though. So that's the thing. All right.
Like, come on, man.
So let's kind of talk about what happened since college.
Yes.
So from college, I know you've done a variety of things. At one point, I think I had read somewhere, and this was crazy because it's kind of similar to me, that you may have had like 10 different jobs, 10 different places.
Add 5 more.
15?
15 different places I've worked in the last 20 years. So different jobs. Now I've had
industries.
Somewhat I shifted, but literally I've worked at 15 different companies in the 20 years since I graduated college, 20 and some change.
Okay, so I think Aldi, and that's why I was hoping we have a friend, a real good friend of it. If he would have been here, we could have talked through this, but y'all worked at Aldi.
Yes.
Getting out of Aldi was giving people bread, bro. Like,
they was giving good bread.
You could have got like 60 bands.
No, $62,500 a company car and a cell phone. And they paid your insurance and put gas in the car, paid the insurance.
And they was moving people.
$62,500
like you could go to like Dallas.
2001. I was balling.
Where did you move? Because they had people in Dallas. Okay, so he went to Charlotte. They had people a little bit everywhere. So tell us about from Aldi, like what did you pick up there? And then we'll talk about how you got into marketing.
Well, so crazy part about Aldi, yes, that taught me some very, very, very key lessons. And early on, and I'm so glad that it did. So when I got hired at Aldi, they came down to OU and they had a vice president that was big on DE&I way back then. He looked around his organization and saw that a lot of Aldi stores were in, Black and Hispanic markets, but the district managers that were running them
straight up
didn't look like that. And so he made a concerted effort. It was a white dude that was like, nah, I'm a hire these Black kids and these high achieving Black kids and Hispanic kids to be able to come in here and help change the culture here and also make a representation of the people that are shopping in our stores. And I appreciate the fact that he did that. Now, I got there and they worked my ass off. I was like, $62,500, in 2001.
Yeah, out the gate.
Out the gate?
No gas.
No car note. No, you ain't even have to. They would pay to wash the car.
Yeah.
And so,
Aldi and Ferguson, people don't remember these names, but if you had a business degree or Aldi and Ferguson were two places that was paying people like 60 bands straight out of college with no experience. Just show up, we're going to give you a job.
We would train you. And so what they did is the training program was so intense. I went in there and they got every single dollar out of my ass. I was averaging 80 hours a week was a light week. Shit. That was a light week. You had to work in the stores. You had to learn every single thing all the way down to, stocking the freezer and the ice cream freezer. Or you had to put on this big coat to be able to kind of do those because it was only in the Aldi store, there's only 3 to 4 people that work there in the entire store. That's why they can pay you so much money because...
I never realized that.
Oh yeah, it's only like 3 to 4 people.
It is lean.
Yeah, it's lean. It's super lean.
I knew that.
Why? Why did you know that?
Because he used to steal from there. Nah. You try to talk about it. You like, ain't nobody watching. You gotta go. See you when I see you.
Nah, it wasn't like.
It was like, let me take that.
Nah, it wasn't like that. So, just like just like you in college, Aldi was very important in my life. That's how I met him. Me and his brother played on the same team, and we lived together. But we was all broke, and then mind you, I got like a toddler son, so I got to feed the house.
Yeah.
So ironically, one of my teammates worked at Aldi's.
Oh.
So what we do, I literally go in there, pay that quarter to get that cart. Load up the entire cart. I remember I got probably $400 worth of food and a skillet, and it was $42.
You need to go to prison. Why are you still
hold up, $400 at Aldi? You literally might have had 2 or 3 carts.
Because I had everything from like the bottom of the cart all the way up, and then I put a skillet on top of it, and literally got that. And he was just like skipping stuff over.
Because you got the cameras, different part of it.
Loss prevention should have got you at the door.
Statutes of limitation. My boy good now, but $42
when they was doing that inventory, because we used to have to go do the inventory and know, how much turn we have. Good God Almighty.
Yeah.
But you're right. But
that was my welfare check. Like, no lie.
those lessons, though, in understanding branding, I pull things from every single one of my jobs, and especially there. So what I learned in doing that job, for one, is never take a job just for the money.
Straight up.
If you're doing it just for the money, you're doing yourself a disservice. And I took that job and did it because that check was big, you know, relatively speaking at that point.
At that time. I
mean, it's big now. Like, let's just be real. And so, you know, but it was like they got every dollar out of my ass. And, you know, I was 80 hours. I'll never forget one day, this was kind of the kind of breaking point. I wanted to go to a family reunion. And that summer, I had missed so many friends' weddings because I had to work. This is post-college, so you had that first wave of
early people getting married.
Yeah. And I missed all of them because I had to work. But I wanted to go to a family reunion in D.C. That my mom and they were going up. And in order to go there, I ended up having to work a 21-hour shift.
What?
I went in at 4 a.m.
Nah, bro, that is crazy.
And left at 1 a.m. because the German board was in the district. They were visiting another store. And my store was on the way to the airport. So there was a possibility
that they could stop in.
That they may stop in. So I needed to make sure that place was spick and span fully. I had somebody quit that week. It was just a crazy, and I literally was there 21 hours. I was so delirious walking out of that place, and that was the only way I was able to take one day off to go up to D.C. because I was able to take a Saturday off, go to D.C., see my family that day, and then head back home on Sunday because I had to be in there on Monday.
And brothers like him was getting y'all for $400
$400 on that end.
Shit, I gotta eat.
I gotta eat, but that part of it, the way they ran it from an efficiency standpoint, I pulled a lot of things. Like I can still walk in the Aldi store, and I haven't worked there in 20 years, and I can walk in the store and I can tell you everything that's wrong in the store.
Wow.
I literally can say, all right, this is out of place. That sign doesn't match this. They need to pull this shelf. This produce, this is out of date. And it's almost like it's like pledging. Like you immediately go right back into that. And I'd be like, I don't work. And I want to be like, excuse me, let me tell you just real quick. But I'd be like, that's not my job. That's not what I do. But it also trained me in a way to be able to look at and pay attention to details and making sure things are where they need to be. And then also from a branding and product standpoint, an Aldi location only has like 700 items, which seems like a lot, but a regular grocery store might have 10,000. Thousands. But the way they did it, they would put Aldi stores near another grocery store, but they would charge you such less price, and they do all private labels. So it's like mustard. You're going to go get the mustard, but they only going to give you one size. I don't need to give you 4 different brands, 4 different sizes. You're going to say, this mustard costs $1. I'm going to just go buy this particular mustard. So you would go buy all your staples from them, save money. Go ahead.
You was getting the private label stuff. You got $400 worth of private label stuff?
That's why I said that he had.
You was stealing for real.
He had like
hold on.
$400 worth. He was.
Yo, put the camera on him, bro.
I was not stealing. Look, I was robbing the
It's the hookup.
I was getting hooked up.
What?
That's not stealing. It wasn't like I was wearing a trench coat,
but no,
putting salami in my pockets.
My mom says this sometime, and I'm sorry if my mom ever sees this. She says, I don't steal, but if somebody hooked me up, that ain't steal. That's on them. That's on them.
The hookup is for real.
I was getting hooked up.
We had a guy, statute of limitations. We had a guy in college named Cable Ray.
Cable Ray,
so
boy.
You name
he was a legend.
No.
Well, that's his name, Cable Ray.
We don't know his real name.
But he was Cable Ray.
Cable Ray. Cable Ray, he would come the whole...
I don't know this cat name.
Nobody knew his name. You just knew Cable Ray.
The whole apartment complex, bro.
He hooked everybody up.
All you have to do is just give him a little bread.
It was like $30. Like, hey, man, Cable Ray. He hooked up everybody's cable
for the semester.
Dude, we had a cat. I'll never forget, though. One of the football players, and he ended up, I was so glad he made it to the NFL because he always said, hey, man, this book stuff, I don't do this. I got to make it to the league because I ain't going to make it. But he got kicked out of Yorkshire because he had Cable Ray hooked him up, right?
I think I know what you're talking about.
But then he, great, probably one of the best athletes I've ever seen in my life.
Yes.
But he wanted to see like the fight. No, he wanted to see like pay-per-view. So he called the company and tried to order pay-per-view. And they like, you ain't got payper-view. Like, you don't got cable. Why are you? He's like, yeah, I do. I'm watching it. And so
yeah, he deserved that. He deserved it.
He got kicked out. He made it to the league. I am so proud the fact that he did that.
Ironically, I got a cable story. I had got hooked up in college at UCO. The semester I was there. My partner, who I will not name, but it was also from here. You will know him.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
I let him stay in my room. This dude decides to order like $65 worth of porn.
This is back when you actually had kids. You actually had to do that. You couldn't load it on your phone, but yeah.
You could get it on your phone. Like,
nah, not the same though.
Bro, you could have got on, I know. You could have got on the phone.
But he decided he wanted it on the big screen. He wanted it on the Hashitashi 2000.
And then when I got the notice that I was getting, in trouble for it, I was just like, bro, why? Like,
we the fault.
Why you just didn't use your phone? He paid me for it, but why you just didn't use your phone like a normal human?
He wanted the Hashitashi.
He wanted that. They want that widescreen experience, bro.
He wanted Jenna Jameson in three.
Oh,
man.
At that time, it wasn't even 4K.
It wasn't 4K.
It was 640p. Okay. All right. So let's talk about how you got into marketing then, because that from going from there. Marketing, and I'll tell a funny story. And I think I had hit you when I saw this. I was watching some interview with Anthony Anderson. All right. And Anthony Anderson, he points to the crowd and he was like, no. This is the person who this character is after. And I was like, hold on.
I'm still waiting for that check.
And I saw, and so I see, I recognize him, but they ain't said his name yet. So like, it's no way it's him. And he's like, no, Daylon, get up here right now.
Wow.
And he in there,
that dude,
interviewing with Anthony Anderson about how his character is Blackish. He's the Blackish character.
So you wear all the designer stuff?
No, once again, I
see your sneakers.
Checks were the same. I told, boy.
Your sneakers, though.
So were you the actual urban department of a marketing firm?
Technically, yes. So that whole story kind of came out, which I'm happy for it, but I also still mad at him for that day, because the question that she asked, he didn't know the answer to.
He just put you on the spot.
And he put me on the spot because he's an actor.
Of course.
And so, but people, when they see a character that people play, they automatically correlate that that's a real thing versus it being a script. But that makes a great actor.
No doubt.
And he is a great actor. So we were doing an execution in New York for State Farm. And so Anthony and I, when we first met, was State Farm had me bring him down to Essence Music Festival one year. And we just got cool there. It was like...
That's when he was doing Golf in America days.
Yeah, and I'm like, I'm just cool with people. But normally, I don't talk to talent like that. I'm cool with talent, meaning, celebrities, but I really get cool with the management because celebrities can be fickle. I don't really like... I'm a little like, all right, man, I'm not about to be... Yeah. I'm a little arrogant in my own part, so I don't feel like I need to try to juice somebody else because everybody else gonna do that. But this particular weekend, he was like, nah, Daylon, we friends in real life. Like, and I was like, all right, cool, dude. Hey, man, no, man, like, take my number, and I was like, all right, cool. The next day, like 4th of July, I'm back home in Dallas on the grill. He texted me, happy 4th of July, Playboy. I'm like, happy 4th of July too. Like, who does this or whatnot? But then we just kept communicating because
brother, what you mean 4th of July?
4th of July? Yeah, like
Juneteenth. That's what we are.
But so what happened was when we start talking, when we first met, he's like, so Daylon, what you do? I was like, I'm director of multicultural marketing for my agency, my old agency, the marketing arm. And so I handled multicultural marketing for brands like AT&T and State Farm and Frito-Lay and American Airlines, some major blue chip brands, a lot of them based in Dallas, but I was director of multicultural. So I was in charge of African-American, Asian, Hispanic, LGBTQIA plus 2A, 2S. I think.
You had everything.
There's a lot of, back then it was just LGBTQ.
Yeah.
But I was in charge of, when they were running marketing programs and things that were targeted toward these diverse markets, they would come to me and be like, all right, how do we talk to this audience in a very authentic way? And I'll give them credit for at least asking that question. And this is 2012. So this is pre-George Floyd, before it was the it thing to do. And so in a lot of times I was also advocating for these audiences saying, yo, what happens in Black culture happens in pop culture after it happens in black culture, and we done
Straight
with
up.
it. So you might want to jump on it here, so therefore you can be able to activate on it later. I mean, we were doing things like I put Drake on an AT&T tour. AT&T was sponsoring some stuff when he dropped his first mixtape. Like we was one of the first brands.
Days, or?
Yeah, that first one.
Wow.
Like before it really popped.
Wow.
But it was bubbling in our culture, and so we
Which
built.
one was that? The some season. When he got the trench coat on.
This was the first,
like the first mixtape.
The first mixtape.
So far.
So this before he was even Drake.
He was before he was even Drake.
Yeah.
But we were kind of leaning into that. And I think when he did So Far Gone, we were like, before that dropped,
Gotcha.
we were already kind of in and tapping into it. We started a Black History Month program called AT&T 28 Days, which now has morphed into their Dreamin' Black program. And so we had kind of this early adopter type situation. And so there was parallels to what was happening on Blackish. Now, Blackish is not based on my life. But when I met Anthony, we started talking. He's like, dude, that's literally what we... And so he would ask me questions like, all right, so when you there, like, what would happen? I was like, oh, no, this really happened. Let me tell you about this microaggression. Let me talk about, this person who, basically told our clients that Daylon is only here because he's black type situation. Like, these things really did happen. So some of these parts that you see, like, yep, I've had to deal with that. I had to go through that.
Yeah.
And so when that particular interview happened, I just so happened to be there.
It was
had
funny
him up
too.
There. It was, and I'm over in the back.
I know
on my phone
in the
like
cut.
I'm working. Like, yo, let me check this
and he
email.
Point at him.
Got it. And she asked him about microaggressions at work in the avatar, and he's like, "I'm an actor. I don't really do this, but." My boy Daylon, he actually is the Dre from Blackish in real life. He has to do these things, advocating for our community, making sure that these brands don't make missteps, but also are tapping into the things that really, really are pushing the culture. And he was just like, I don't know, but come up here, Daylon. Come on. I was like, this, well, okay, hey, how y'all doing? But
and it almost kind of, but you did it well though.
Oh, I am a professional.
Yeah, that's
now.
what I'm gonna say. Professional podcasting.
Don't give me no microphone and expect me not to rock. Like, because I had
DJ
that experience from DJing.
Exactly.
Like, I'm good in front of a crowd. I'm good in being able to have straight up conversation. As long as the microphone is there, I'm straight. And so that's kind of where that correlated, and it was a cool clip and whatnot.
It was, but, I mean, most people, man, you can't. I know you're being humble about it, but there's very few people that can say Anthony Anderson called me up during an interview that he was having to talk about what my experience is in my profession.
Yeah. I thank him for that. Yeah, that dude is
that's
my boy, but he texted me the other day. He in South Africa. When we gonna drop my because him and Said the Entertainer have a barbecue line.
Okay.
And so he's like, man, we need to get that. We need to get that part of Jet. We need this. And I'm like, you in South Africa, dog. Enjoy South Africa. Like, you good? All right. But just, I mean, we've developed a good relationship. Yeah. We cuss each other out on a regular basis.
That's what you need.
My wife be like, do y'all even like each other? I'll be like, we fine.
Y'all definitely like each other. We cuss each other out all the time. Yeah, that's what we do.
But also, they don't understand.
They don't. They do not get it. They do not understand.
We cuss each other out and be like, all right, so you want to go grab a drink?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let's go.
That's how I go.
So,
now Wingstop.
My wife saw him put me in a chokehold.
Yeah, facts. Yeah. And if Casey was here, he'd be able to tell a story where I held him over. In Lloyd Noble Center, I held him over
like Red for the 5 heartbeats.
Yeah,
my office hours.
Yeah, ask him.
Did he say 9 to 5?
We had beef.
You can't tell me stuff like this.
No, I knew I was strong enough to hold him. Now, if I'd have slipped, that's on him.
This is before Pledge and after.
This was right after.
Right after. Oh yeah, because then you had I did that to my
what's that movie? The Best Man out yet? You just saw The Best Man?
You do kind of look like him too.
No, I know. What are you talking about?
He just saw The Best Man.
Just saw The Best Man. He was like,
I can do that.
And somebody was up on the basketball court. That fool about to fall.
Yeah, I definitely was holding him over though. It was during Stomp Down.
Oh wow.
Yeah, during Stomp Down.
That's wow.
Yeah, it was
okay.
Yeah, but okay, let's talk. So
yes,
Casey may not know this, but you remember when D-Nice took over?
Dude, you bringing up all this.
We got to talk about it. This is what people want to hear before
this is your life.
And then we're gonna talk about Jet. We got a couple more things that we're gonna talk about Jet. So you remember during COVID, D-Nice started doing those live streams on Instagram.
Club Quarantine.
Club Quarantine.
Yes.
Guess who was responsible for that?
I was not fully responsible for that.
Bro, Wingstop was in every...
I was a part of that. I was a part of it.
Wow.
Bro.
You're right. But I wouldn't respond. D-Nice was doing his thing. I was a small part of that. And
you were
more
than a small part.
Would you say, hey, brother, you probably need some wings back there?
Well, I did. I sent them to him.
Wow.
Because he wasn't. So the story of Club Quarantine was when it first started off, he actually didn't even call it Club Quarantine. He was calling it something school, something, I forget. School break. I forget the name that he had kind of came up with it. It morphed into Club Quarantine because everybody just started calling it that. But what started was he just started DJing for the sake of his own kind of mental health.
Yeah.
And also to be able to share some love with everybody else, because this was that first week of COVID. And a lot of people don't realize that first week of COVID, a lot of entertainers and DJs and musicians and all of them found out what the words force majeure in their contract really meant. So I've done a bunch of contracts with different people, and there's always a clause that says force majeure, which basically said in any act of God, when this is totally canceled and you don't get paid.
Yep.
And that COVID was what was considered an act of God. And it was like, canceled, no deposit, take this. Like everybody was sending deposits back. So a lot of entertainers who had their year set up, oh man, I'm doing All-Star Game, I'm doing this, oh, the summertime, Memorial Day, I got my money for 4th of July Day. All that hosting was pretty much like, nah, we putting all that on hold. We're sending your money back type situation. So a lot of entertainers, they were depressed. He was about to go on his first tour as the opener for Jill Scott.
Damn.
He was so happy.
Damn.
Like, yo, man, I'm about to open up for Jill Scott. I'm gonna do my first tour.
I love Jill Scott.
I'm about to make this happen. And then everything started canceling. And so that week, people just didn't know what to do. And so he started going online DJing. And so those first couple of days, it was all of, like, we have a cool little friend group of, people who follow each other, but also know each other in real life. And so he started DJing, and everybody started taking whatever they did or whatever way they can help to be able to add to it. Yeah. So he was providing the music. And so the boys was like, yo, people ain't eating. D's not eating, man. Like, he's drinking wine, but he ain't eating. So I'm like, well, I run the marketing for Wingstop. I'm running some programs. I got a budget. I literally have an influencer budget. We had just launched nationwide delivery. And so I was like, I'm going to send them some food. Yeah. What's D's address? All right. Boom. I had it so down packed that when I would send him food, the concierge at his building would call my phone number. Damn. And I would be like, he'd be like, all right, Mr. Derek, what you, I have a delivery. I'd be like, go ahead and send it up. Yeah. Boom. And I would literally see him get the knock on the door, and he would walk away, go grab the food and put it down, and then start DJing again. So that's how it started. But I also was running a campaign called This Is an Ad for Wingstop, where we had launched this merch campaign where we were paying people $25 in order to wear a Wingstop sweatshirt. We gave away 1,000 sweatshirts, and we were like, everybody can be an influencer. You order the sweatshirt, you can rock it, you post a picture on Instagram, use this hashtag, we will send you $25.
That's such a great idea.
On that end, it was.
That is a great idea.
It was a great idea. Yeah. But then COVID happened. So I had people and I had influencers that I paid more than $25. I had Tua Tagovailoa, he wore one.
Okay.
What's his name? Von Miller wore one. So I was calling in different people to be able to say, all right, hey, I got a check. You want this? Boom. I saw what was happening on Club Quarantine. I was like, I got a budget over here. Sitting there, you know what, D? I knew what his rate was. I doubled what his rate was.
So you showed love too.
And show love. Because I was also, I got a budget. This is something that's happening. Let me tap in. It's good for me professionally to be able to do my job, but also putting some money into the pockets of some cats that might not get a check for the next few months. And he had just moved to LA, all of that other stuff. So I also was showing love to my people because it was like, hey, you do this well, I'll take care of you. I did that with DJ Jazzy Jeff. We did a whole thing with him. Kenny Burns did it. Like, I was trying to spread the wealth it helps me out, also helps them. But D says when he got that call and I sent him the shirt, that was the moment he knew Club Quarantine was valuable.
Nice.
And he made the decision to say, man, I have something. Because if my boy just sent me, he knows what my rate is. He doubled my rate. So that means this might be something. And this is probably like Wednesday, Thursday. And then everything started taking off Thursday and then Friday. And then Michelle Obama
when Obama got on, it was crazy.
It went to this whole kind of crazy situation. Yeah. But I was able to have a little bit of that. I call it cultural clairvoyance of seeing where something is about to pop. And I'm like, hey, dog, do this. And so the other couple weeks ago, I was at an event, the Cannes Festival of Creativity, which is a real big marketing advertising event that happens over in the south of France. So I'm there and I walk in to an event and D Nice is on stage with Alicia Butterfield, who was from Google and has done a bunch of stuff. And he sees me, but I don't know he sees me. I'm just chilling, because I don't even the people I know, I don't expect them to even still remember me. I hadn't seen him in a while or whatnot. I knew we would talk after, but it was like, I was chilling in the back. And then he starts telling the Wingstop story.
Of course.
He's just like, I'm going to tell you when I knew Club Quarantine was valuable. Was when my boy offered me this to wear a chicken restaurant shirt. He's like, I couldn't do it, but I'm glad I didn't. But that was the moment he knew. And then after that, I made him record that because I was like,
of course.
I need
you need
kind.
That. That's
a testimony. I need that. That's a testimony.
Yeah.
But that's kind of my small part of Club Quarantine is letting him understand and know his value. Because it was a situation of where he could have went the direction from a brand perspective and wore the shirt and he still probably would have been perfectly fine. But in not doing that, it made his numbers go that much higher. And it also allowed him to pick and choose what he wanted to do and who he works with and for what price point. And I'm super proud of what he's been able to do. And, also my little bit of part in there is actually a cool little story to be able to share on, the Pour Horsemen.
No doubt. Okay, so a couple quick things before we go to Jet. And then we got a few topics and we do a quick Patreon. We'll talk some OU stuff because people don't believe a lot of stuff that I talk about OU. I'm the only person here other than Casey who's been in Oklahoma a lot.
We had a great time.
I got ass in Oklahoma too.
But that's Patreon.
OU was good.
It was good. It was great.
It was great. It was great.
Couple quick things. You ain't even like, you're an Oklahoma Christian.
Hey, boy, hey,
we'll get to it.
Oklahoma was great.
It was great. I ain't gonna lie. But either way, so two quick things. You did Zoom in with the homies.
Yeah.
During COVID, also you started working with the group out of California.
Yes.
How was that experience? And then also the last thing I want to talk about is just your introduction to the Bridgman family, and that'll lead us to where you are now with Jet.
Perfect. Perfect. Not a problem. So Zoom in with the homies came organically. Tahir Moore made a post on his social media, his Instagram page, talking about whoever running the Wingstop account got to be black. Because we did a little, just stuff on there and we tapped into the culture. And so what happened when I left as the director of multicultural marketing for TMA, I got hired away by Wingstop to be their director of marketing. And I was able to kind of, not even necessarily shift, but be able to harness the cultural credibility that Wingstop had gotten from the association with Rick Ross, and then to be able to take that to the next level. Because when I walked in the door, I was like, oh, they don't know what they don't know. Like, y'all, oh man, I thought y'all was cooler than y'all are. Okay, say less. I got this. And so I was able to do some cool things. The relationship with Rick Ross was fractured when I walked in the door.
Oh, wow.
My number one thing, I was like, I got to make this. I literally ran up on Ross at Sirius XM Studios like, yo, we need to talk. Like, let's figure this out. Give me all your gripes, all the stuff that you have, and this is what I need to do because we got to make sure that this is right and for the future forward. And I was able to fix that.
Yeah,
the lemon peppers.
Yes, absolutely.
You pulled one of those you want to drop. You pulled up on about the radio station.
I literally, in so many words,
you
literally pulled up. He was doing an interview. I had a connection there. I used and leveraged some of the stuff that I had, and I pulled up and was like, yo, Daylon from Wingstop, let's talk. I had my CMO at the time and the chief people officer, and I was like, they up in there, like, they both black, but they was like, what we doing? I was like,
but you're used to that, though.
I'm used to it. It's the comfort level of, working with talent, being able to have that conversation. And so we were able to kind of fix that. And so the tying back in with the Zooming with the homies is he posted about that. And of course, people who know me start tagging me like, Daylon. And I'm like, what is this? So I reached out to him like, yeah, I'm black. I don't type, but I'm in charge of making sure
I'm a black.
That I'm a black. I'm a black. My squad black. We out here. We understood. And so we, start talking, got cool. And he was like, yo, can you come on my Zooming with the homies? And I was like, all right. I was like, I'm not a comedian. He's like,
nah, you was dope on there though.
But
you was.
Part of it was, and he says this too, he's like, you know how to tap in and tap out.
Yeah.
You're not one of them where you gotta hear yourself talk. Hey man, hey, how y'all doing? I'm like, nah, man, I'm gonna fall back. I'm gonna interject when I got something to say.
Allow me to intercept.
Yep. Yeah. And then I throw it right back, and I'm cool, just happy to be here because I'm fans of comedy of those guys and what they've been able to do. So I was able to share some wealth, slide them a couple dollars, some money to be a part of it. Let me sponsor it. Let's kind of blow and grow organically. And I'm still tight with them guys to this day. Tahir will call me and just be like, hey man, I ain't heard from you in a while. You know we friends in real life. Like, I need to know you good. I'm good. So whenever I'm in LA, I pull up on them. Kev on stage is super cool. It's fostered the relationship.
We're fans of them.
That guy just put himself through the blender.
When he cut his beard off?
But it ain't gone.
It's not.
It's fake.
I know.
That's how you look.
No, I don't. I don't have a beard. I've never had one. My face ain't that round. My face ain't that round. Nah, he got that. Remember I told you that Cleveland Brown story? Like, if you shave your mustache, you got too much face for not doing it. That's what you got.
I can't do that.
Squidward.
Nah, that's not him.
But that booty chin, that's how you gonna look.
But the fact that those guys have really just taken the opportunity to run with it, and that just shows that, perseverance or being consistent. I think that's the thing.
We talk about that all the time.
The consistency. All day long. If you're able to do that, then it will pop. And those guys are super popping. I ran into Angel while I was down at Essence. Her song that she did, Give Me One Margarita. Like,
my wife was just playing. She was just at Essence, and she was like, I met her.
Yeah.
And she, I guess they knew of each other.
Probably through social media.
Yeah, she was excited. And she was like, you don't know that song? I was like, no. She played it. I was like, oh.
You've heard it before, though.
But taking that.
I heard it before. I just didn't know who it was until I saw it on social media one time. I was like, I know them.
When she played it, I was like, ain't this what that
white lady? Yeah. That's where it came from. And she was like, this could be a song. Like,
that's where it came from.
Like, you know it from that? I was like, I remember that video because I was cracking up at them the frat boys. Like,
they was like, chill margaritas. But so super, that was them allowing me to be in their spaces.
No doubt.
And, being able to contribute and also just meeting them and them put me onto their people. So yeah, every time I'm in LA, I stop by their studios and they be like, oh, come on in.
No doubt.
Get on the mic. Let's talk.
Yeah,
and
you got to do it.
It always is good. So it's, working with family, man.
No doubt. So let's talk about the Bridgman family in general. And I think before we got started, I was like, Junior Bridgman doesn't know, but from afar, he's a mentor of mine. Like, I don't own any franchises, but I've definitely looked at the template that he's done to take a minimal amount of money and try to turn it into multitudes of dollars.
I wouldn't even say that. Like, because the name was familiar. I know my NBA.
Yeah.
And so I know he played for the Bucks.
Yeah.
And so when y'all was talking about him, I almost like interjected, like, ain't that the dude that worked in Wendy's?
Yeah.
I'll give you the
Wendy's
and then he learned the business.
Season.
Yeah. So here's kind of the full, and I just got it from his daughter, Eden Bridgman, who is my boss. Yeah. She's the CEO of Ebony and Jet. And we were just kind of going back and forth. And I tell the story because it is a very compelling and a great story just to be able to hear. Just like he's your mentor. Like every NBA player I've ever met
should say
when I bring it up, they all bring it. They be like, wait a minute, like Junior Bridgman, like they all know the story.
To me, it's the greatest story, man.
One specific person that I know talked about it was Jamal Mashburn because he definitely followed that route.
Because he followed that route. Yep. I ran into Charles Barkley.
Okay.
And when I was like, I'm Daylon, president of Jet, he immediately was like, the Black Bible? Man, just the Black Bible. Like he gets in and I was like, I actually work for Junior Bridgman. He's like, oh, that's my business idol. That's my idol.
It's my idol, man.
That's my idol. And he's talking about, so the story is probably from an NBA standpoint, he was involved in the trade that got Kareem Abdul-Jabbar
to the Lakers.
Yep. That's how he got to the Bucks, because he was playing out there for the Lakers or the Clippers. The Clippers. And so that trade got him to go to the Milwaukee Bucks. And he was, this is the 70s. So he was sixth man. He was coming off the bench, played at Louisville. Good player, but, wasn't no superstar. He wasn't Magic. He wasn't Bird, but he was a good player.
He got his number.
10-year career, too.
Yes, 10-year career. So did his job. Yeah.
Can't go nowhere.
And so he played for the Milwaukee Bucks. So it's two things that are at play. This is the early NBA.
Yeah.
And this is before the crazy contracts, before, the Magic and Bird effect really shifted the NBA. And then the Michael Jordan effect took it to that next level. Mm-hmm. This is before all of those things. And so, it's a job. I remember when I was a kid, so I was born in 78, the Kansas City Kings used to be in Kansas City. So Sacramento Kings used to be the Kansas City Kings.
You're right.
1983-84, Charles Barkley's rookie year is when they moved or whatnot. Because I remember going to the game, Dr. J's last year. It was right after they won the championship, and Charles Barkley was a rookie. And back then, you could go down, like you had the court. So the court was in the middle, and then you had like a railing around it, like a hockey ring is, and the court sat in the middle. And the chairs, the court side or where the bench is, they were, sunken, but they also were just regular chairs.
Yeah.
And so as a kid, we used to could be able to go down and stand behind the bench and hold chairs. And my Charles Barkley story, which I told him, he was like, I'm not that old. I was like, yeah, you are. It's his rookie year. We went down there. All the kids were hanging out by Dr. J's chair for obvious reasons. And I was like maybe 5 or 6. Charles Barkley came and sat down on the bench, and he sat down super hard, and I fell down. And my brother's there, who was 4 years old, like picked me up and was like, you got to hold on. That guy right there is going to be good. That's Charles Barkley.
My favorite player.
And he became my favorite player that day.
Round mound to
he became my favorite player because my brother was like, that guy's going to be good. His name is Charles Barkley. So that just shows you how the NBA was at that particular time. And then, so while he was playing in Milwaukee, had a serviceable career. I think the most he made in 1 year was around $350,000, which is great money. Mm-hmm. Don't get it twisted, but it's not enough money if you retire at age 30 to not have to work again.
Yeah.
Like you still got to go find a job. And so his agent actually owned a Wendy's, I think in Racine, Wisconsin.
Okay.
And he was trying to figure out what he wanted to do. He's like, maybe I'll go be a lawyer and we'll go be a businessman. Like he was exploring the ideas of once he retired, what he was going to do with his life because he got a family, he got kids. I got to figure out, this has been great, but how can I be able to turn this into something that's going to sustain my family for the rest of my life? And so his agent owned a Wendy's, and he started working at that Wendy's to try it out and see what was going on. So in the off season and whatnot, he learned the business. And then he ended up being able to buy 3 struggling Wendy's franchises in Milwaukee. Learn the business, use like the skills, that he had kind of garnered, the discipline from playing ball all those years, and turned around those Wendy's. And when it was all said and done, he ended up owning about 200 Wendy's.
To me, it's
200 Wendy's.
He's the greatest story
120 Chili's at one point in time. At one point in time, he was the number 2 franchisee as far as number of restaurants of Wendy's in the entire world.
Wow. And he owns like a bottling company now, don't he?
That's what he did. So what happened is about 7 or 8 years ago now, he amassed a great franchising portfolio, but did it, even the parent company is called Manna.
Okay.
From the Bible, bread of life, bread of heaven. So he looks at it as, it's not even about me. It's about these opportunities to be able to hire people, to give people jobs, and then grow. And so that's kind of how he's looked at it. Keeps a very low profile, but just not from a standpoint of, he's just like, I'm not about to shine. I live in Louisville, Kentucky. Want to make this a good family business that's going to survive me and be able to do for my community and for my family. And so had built it up to all of the franchise businesses, and they have a few other labels. They have a barbecue restaurant, I think it's called Mark's Feed Store, and some others. So built all of that, and then an opportunity presented itself 7 or 8 years ago to buy a Coca-Cola bottling plant, which I didn't even know you could do.
Yeah,
that's like so outside of the realm of
he the template, man, for
and
real.
He bought the Coca-Cola bottling plant in Kansas City, matter of fact.
Yep.
So Heartland Coca-Cola is owned by Junior Bridgman. And he also owns 50% of the Coca-Cola bottling plant in the country of Canada.
Damn.
The entire country.
Wow.
And so he's, has done that, diversified, took lessons for learning from basketball, translate those into the business world and the franchising, that over into the bottling company and doing all of that. And so, has amassed a huge portfolio. And then when Ebony and Jet came up were in bankruptcy 3 years ago, he wanted to keep them in black hands. So he ended up bidding on them during the pandemic and bought them. And so that's kind of the roundabout way of I've been a part of it. So I always tell the story of former NBA players from a net worth. Yeah. Just to be able to show it. You have Michael Jordan at the top, like Mike up here ain't getting caught. I mean, LeBron may eventually once he retire, but it's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be tough.
It's gonna be
Jordan
tough.
Guy,
Jordan 450, something like that.
Off of shoes.
Just shoes. Just
crazy.
Passive income.
And that's 5%.
We 2 or 3 of us got on Jordans.
Yes, I mean,
and you normally would have some.
I would have had.
I just watched the Air movie, but yes. So you have that, and then it switches between 2 and 3 between Junior Bridgman and Magic Johnson.
Magic Johnson. Yeah.
Shaq is probably like 5 or 6, but it's kind of like those
Shaq
two
is more
kind of
marketing to me though.
But he has, but as far as net worth.
Being
able to look at the overall net worth aspect of Shaq is still a jugger. So Shaq is probably going to get there, but Junior's still riding because people still buying Coca-Cola products. Yeah. I remember they still eating Wendy's burgers.
I remember hearing about him probably maybe like 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. And I just went on a deep dive. And this is before YouTube really could let you deep dive. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now you could type his name in and he's doing symposiums, conferences, etc. So, I mean, it's got to be surreal for you just working with the family on the relaunch.
They're super dope. I mean, and super humble. I kind of came aboard. D-Nice is partially responsible for me being and having
So he
this
threw
job.
you the alive there at this point.
Yeah, he didn't even realize it. It was actually off of a suggestion that didn't happen. So I got introduced to the family, I think while I was at Wingstop or around that time, or maybe the year before I was still at TMA. And through a mutual friend of my wife, they knew each other when my wife lived in Chicago. And so she was like, hey, there's this guy, by the name of Justin Bridgman. His name, I was Junior Bridgman's son. I was like, I know the story. I was like you. Yeah. I knew that story because I love those type of stories of people who are not necessarily about the shine that comes from it. Yeah. Don't think sometimes get shine, you're going to get the visibility, but that's not why you do it. Because I like to pattern myself in the same way. Yeah. It's not about the shine. It's about the community, the work, and the opportunity that comes from it. Because when the shine goes away, I still want to be able to do the things that I need to do. And I don't want to have or feel that deficit that comes from it. And so they do a huge gala in Kentucky for the Kentucky Derby, because Junior also sits on the board of directors for Churchill Downs.
Damn.
Yeah.
Damn, I didn't know
He's
that.
the only black person on the board of directors.
And they from Kentucky too, so that makes sense.
And still live there. Yeah, so
that makes sense.
The first year I ever went to Louisville to the Kentucky, they invited me up because they do a large gala foundation for their foundation that's there.
What color suit you wore?
Oh, I had a black tuxedo, but I had a what's my guys with the red brim? Keith and James hat on. I was classic, but I was. Yeah, you saw me.
You went to the race and stuff too?
So I went to the day before they do what's called the Oaks. Yeah. So the locals, everybody there. The Oaks is on Friday, and then the Kentucky Derby is on Saturday. And so I went up there. They were like, "Hey, we have this foundation, and we do this gala." But the kids, so Junior has 3 children. Justin's the oldest. He works for the Coca-Cola side. So he's in that position. He lives in Kansas City, works for Heartland Coca-Cola in order to, kind of take that and learn that business and take it over. And then the second son, Ryan, handles like the franchise. So he lives in Louisville. He's more on the franchise side. And Eden leads Ebony and Jet. So she's more on the media side. Mm. And so the children were taking over the gala. And they wanted to make it younger. So they were like, hey, can you come? Well, I'm going to tell you, almost. So we we went up there, me and my wife went up there, and they were like, hey, you know, you come out, we're going to go to the Oaks. I was like, I don't know what the Oaks is.
Yeah.
I went and I saw like wealth because like a butler escorted me in and he came through. We went around a corner, he pressed a button. We got into an elevator and it took it up and I got off the elevator and it was blown glass. It looked like the Bellagio. And I was like, where are we? This is not. And then somebody handed me a mint julep. I was like, thank you very much. And then this girl I used to watch on Top Chef, she handed me a chicken sandwich.
Man.
I was like, oh, this, all right. And then he's like, okay, this section, this is the manna section. And these railings overlooking the finish line, this is you can stand here, 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 and here. This is called the mansion.
Black business.
I was like, oh, this is lovely. All right. So that was one sign of, okay.
Why you make that face?
It made me proud. It made me proud as hell.
It gets better. So I was like, all right, this is cool. But when you meet them, you don't, like, everybody's just cool. It isn't kind of this air that comes from it. It's really, really a humble, like, no, this is part of the business and we good. And then they had the gala that night.
Okay.
And so we go, you know, take pictures. I'm like, all right, this is cool. Just go in. And then you go sit down and then you start looking at it. And it was like, oh, this is hosted by Arsenio Hall. Oh, that's dope. All right, that's cool. Musical guest, Stevie Wonder. Wait a minute. Y'all done flew Stevie all the way here? And I come from production and events, and I'm like, I don't even want to know what Stevie Wonder's rider looks like. How did y'all
get him
to get Stevie to come from LA to Louisville, Kentucky? What type of private jet? What type? The full band.
Yeah.
Full band, full performance. Stevie Wonder and Arsenio Hall. And I was like, all right, Beyonce's mom was sitting at the table in front of me, and then I look over and Anthony there. He like, what's up, nigga? I like, this.
You can't get away from it.
I can't get away from you.
That's your guy.
What's up, man? Hey, man, what you doing here? This my wife. Hey, how you doing, man? Wait, I'm like, all right,
what's up, nigga?
I mean, kind of verbatim with
I believe it, bro. I believe it
just
too.
like,
Yeah.
okay, like, can we keep the niggas down?
Yeah.
Never mind, you just being you. And so, anyway, so I'm looking at it and I'm analyzing. Like, okay, so it ain't you got money.
Yeah.
You just need a little bit of direction, figuring it out. So fast forward to the next year. The next year, they ended up bringing in Usher as the musical guest. Still high level, but also like, all right, but still taps into a little younger generation.
And we need to cancel Usher anyway.
We don't get to that on the...
Everybody held their woman.
Yeah, at that point we didn't know, but you should have known because Usher said, don't leave your girl around me, true player for real. Ask your nigga for real. We should have known that.
But he said, "Ask my nigga for real."
For real, but
same difference.
It was a good song.
What's that called?
Alliteration.
Yeah,
like he knew that he was ready to take someone's girl. Like he said,
"Steal your girl." He stepped out of that shoe. He knew.
We gonna get to Jet here in a second. Sorry.
Oh, no,
we gotta cancel Usher.
This story is amazing though, straight up. Like, everything. So, the visual.
He's like the visual.
I'm still trying to figure out what the hell a mint julep is.
A mint julep. Yeah, that drink. That's like the Kentucky Derby.
It's a Kentucky Derby drink.
You know,
it's like when you go to the Masters, you get like there's certain things like a goal of mine is to go to the Kentucky Derby and the Masters. Those are like two things that I want to do in life.
A black man like me, I'm not trying to be around nothing that says.
Yeah, you would. Oh, you would want to.
You're a golfer. I feel you.
You would want to though. Trust me, you would want to. Augusta National, you don't want to go. I just don't want to be in the slave quarters. You know, that's all I don't want
to do that.
But back to
you supposed to be working.
Get my bag. Get my bag.
So Usher, they decided to go with Usher. And so we were thinking about a host and they wanted to get Steve Harvey. And I was like, nah, that ain't what you want. And they're like, no, he's big enough. And I said, here's what I'm finding. I just, I was at Essence last year, been doing this,
Kenny Burns.
And mind you, yes. So this is 2019. This is pre-pandemic. And I always have to stress that when I tell the story, that this is pre-pandemic. And so I was suggesting, I had seen the Nice and Burns show.
Yep.
And I was like, this is who you want. Everybody that you want to tap into, that next wave of black wealth, of people that are making things happen, they're listening to Kenny Burns and D Nice.
Yep.
That's who you need. And Eden told me, and I quote, Daylon, they're not big enough. And I was like,
at that time they were emerging though.
They were emerging, but I was like, listen to me. Like when I say I begged her, I'm like, listen to me, listen to me. This is who you need. This is the perfect situation. You got Usher. He's the big draw. You don't need adding on that.
Drowning it.
Yeah, I was like,
a host.
You need a host that's going
Steve
to
Harvey would have been drowning it.
100%, and that's exactly what happened.
No
shade on him. It's just
but it was
star
just
power. Exactly, his star power.
It just wasn't necessary on that one. But I get what they were trying to do. But I was like, hey, this is what you need to do. And she said no. And so they went against it. And I was having sidebar conversations with D. Just was like, because he was like, I just want to come. Like, dude, just I want to be there. I want to go to Kentucky Derby. I would love to do an event because he's in that emerging. He's trying to make sure his name is solidified. Yep. This is pre-Cub quarantine. And he was like, I'll give you the family discount. Matter of fact, you ain't even got to fly me there. I will get there on my own. Just give me a place to stay.
Yeah.
And, this number, and I'm good. I'll back it out. And she decided not. And so I talked to Kenny, and I was like, Kenny, just come up anyway. I'll get you in.
Yeah.
And what happened when he got in, he's cool with Usher. Usher had everything's going on. Steve did the first part of it, and Usher did his set, but he had an intermission. And during his intermission, who goes out there to keep the crowd hyped? Kenny. So he goes, rocks it or whatnot, just on some GP. Sometimes it's about just showing up. Yeah. And so, did that whole part of it. And then, of course, the next year, the pandemic happened. And then it just became this. And so from that, Eden was like, dang, Daylon knows what he's talking about. Because he called D-Nice blowing up a year before.
That's
and
that
being able to sign
that
clairvoyance to be able to say, I'm seeing something. Hey, you might want to jump on this. And the fact she didn't jump on that gave me an extra level of credibility with her. So when I left Wingstop, she was just like, oh my God, wait, you leave? Like, can we continue to talk? Can we, can you advise us on something? We just bought Ebony and Jet. We're trying to figure this out. You know what I mean? Like, can we talk like once a month? She said straight up, she's like, Daylon, and both of us are married, but she just was saying, hey, can I, from a business standpoint, date you?
Oh yeah, date you professionally is a real thing.
Let me date you professionally.
That's a real thing.
With the hope that I will be able to one day marry you. And so let's just keep that. So usually once a month or so, she would hit me, have an idea, we're doing this. I would give my insight and whatnot. I always say me and her brother, Justin, who works on her brother and her husband, we all would call ourselves the unpaid interns of Ebony because she would call us and we would kind of give.
Is Ebony the parent to Jet?
Yeah, Ebony and Jet. Yeah. So Ebony was once a month, Jet was once a week.
Gotcha.
And so we would do that. And then that November, the role that I had taken at another company, I wasn't really loving it. And so when me and her talked, I was like, let's figure it out. And then she called me that November and was like, I got it. What would you do if I gave you the keys to Jet? And I'll never forget that conversation. I got a little bit of chills because it took me back from my Jet story.
I just got chills.
It took me to being 8 years old, sitting at Parkwood Barbershop.
Straight up, because Barbershop, you had to read magazines.
Had the Jet
That's
magazine.
what it was.
That's why I saw page 43 for the first time.
Like Easter, remember you used to sit in the barbershop on Easter for hours, and what do? You sit there and wasn't no cell phones, wasn't no Game Boy, wasn't no nothing. You sat there and read all the Jet, and it took me all around the world. It allowed me to see what was going on in Houston, what was going on in Ghana, what was going on in Birmingham, what was going on in New York, Chicago. You had what was happening, what were the top 20 songs, the music, especially coming up, wanting to be a DJ or whatnot. I was always interested in the music. So it took me to that whole world and gave me that. And then for that full circle moment to come in that conversation in November, like, what would you, because we don't know what to do with Jet.
You forgot an important one, though.
What's that?
What was the hobbies of this fine-ass woman on this
Hilarious. But yes, I'm appreciative of that one. I'm sure we're going to get into that.
Them hobbies were clutch because I used to try to use those.
Exactly.
Like I'd be like, women like tennis.
Women like playing tennis.
And then, that used to put you on game for real.
Exactly.
Yeah. Put you on game. So that was my journey from her not hiring D-Nice gave me the credibility to reach out to me and do all of those things. And that eventually turned me into being the president of Jet and helping lead this brand.
We got to clap
I know. Long-winded.
Not long-winded. So we want to know, people, they're going to listen to the interview. So just know that. You're going to get a lot of different stuff. So let's talk about what do you, obviously you've got a lot of advice. People unsolicited, even from me. Yes. You know, I've even said, hey, I got some ideas.
Before we go into that, just keeping it on Jet.
Yep.
With everything being digital now, like, you know, we talked about having the magazine in hand.
Yep.
You know, so just not going throughout your whole playbook, but, you know, what to expect from Jet in this whole digital world now?
Well, yeah, there's a few different things of kind of that we're looking at. I think I usually try to figure out the balance of people's expectations of what we should be versus what we can be or what the opportunity, because being that Ebony and Jet, and I'll just focus on Jet was so omnipresent in our culture for so long, 70 plus years. Ebony was founded November 1st, 1945. Jet was founded November 1st, 1951.
Dang, the 50s?
51.
Matter of fact, scroll up real quick, Braxton, on the thing, because I've heard you say this before, the Culture of Record Agency for Black Culture.
Yeah. Is it culture? Yeah, Agency of Record
for Black culture.
For Black culture.
And that's true if you think about from the 50s.
Yes.
A weekly publication. Mm-hmm. That's all of Black culture right there.
That's Black culture.
That's it.
It's chronicled that every single week, 52 issues a year.
That's crazy.
And so when you think about it, I just did a presentation at Render ATL. Shout out to those guys down there. Big tech conference. But I talk about how, and as you're thinking the digital, we live in the digital, what are you going to do on this part of it? How we digest media. Jet was social media before social media was ever invented.
True.
If you break down, because I ask people to break down what you do on social media right now, and I correlate it to a part of Jet. So for one, what we've already discussed, Thirst Trap, page 43.
Oh, yeah.
He's like, Thirst Trap.
Yeah.
Then, okay, we didn't go to Billboard. We want to know what was hot in the music. You go into the back of Jet.
Straight up.
Strong Black Lead on Netflix, where they showing you what Black people are going to be on the Netflix shows.
Oh,
that was the second to last page in Jet. That showed you all the Black people that's going to be on TV that particular week. You found out who got married.
Oh, people were sending in marriages and celebrities and what they were doing, divorces, all that.
Red carpets. You can be an individual. Like when you got married, you could have submitted your photo. And I have people that come up to me and say, hey, I was in the 2004 edition of Jet when we got married. And I have a database on my phone and I can pull it up. I'll be like, this one? They're like, man, how do you have that?
KC definitely would have submitted their wedding photo to Jet for a fact.
So you had that. But even things about who died. You had a thing called the census, who died that particular week, who got a promotion. There was this thing called Speaking of People. Right. If you got a promotion as the vice president of marketing at, a high enough position, or you got elected, that got talked about. So that literally was like LinkedIn. You had like all of these things, different stories. You had world affairs, what was happening in Africa, what was happening in Europe for Black people. You had what was going on in all different parts of Black culture. It wasn't just the epicenters. It wasn't just Chicago and New York. Yeah. You knew what was happening in Birmingham. Somebody from KC could be in there. Somebody from Oklahoma City would be in there. All those things were happening in the same way that you do on social media, even down to where you read Jet. Think about this. My grandmother had a little basket in the bathroom.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of other grandmamas had that.
Everybody had it.
You would pull that out and you would read it. What do you do right now in the bathroom?
You on your phone.
You on there scrolling. So that's the correlation in a lot of ways of what we are. We literally was Black Twitter.
Hold on. This brother, hold on.
I was thinking about that. My grandma did that and my mom did that. And that's absolutely disgusing.
But it happened. Everybody did.
Everybody did. Even actual like places of business.
Yes.
Like they have that basket right there.
You have that basket in there.
That is gross. If you don't, no hand sanitizer, no nothing. But that's why we're stronger.
That's very true.
I'm telling you now,
that and water from the water hose.
Water from the hose.
If you drink water outside directly from the water hose,
damn,
and you touch the fecal matter on the Jet magazine, maybe more than fecal matter. It could have been, and then some. If you saw page 43 had a little extra stickiness, you stronger than most blacks.
That is so funny.
I'm telling you strong right now. Like, you're healthy.
That extra stickiness was not to your. That was not to you.
But you strong though. Oh, he got one. He got some right now.
That's what they used to be at the.
Man, that's crazy. He even pulled him out. Put the camera on. Put the camera on KC real quick. Put the camera on KC.
So that's a special edition we did with Pinky Cole of Slutty Vegan fame.
And you just did one with House Party too, didn't you? Or
yeah, we did the cover image or whatnot.
Pinky Cole.
Because we did the House 43. Party launch here in Houston. We were what were we, red carpet correspondents for House Party here in Houston. So yeah, I remember you did in LA.
Yes,
we did the Houston one with Daylon Jones.
So as we talk about what Jet is going to be, we do, I mean, what you're doing right now, that nostalgia part of it, we tap into that. Because in a lot of ways, if you think about how things happen, even from a music standpoint. So correlate this. I always talk in movie terms, hip hop terms, and analogies. Think about what's happened from a music perspective. Everything, when we were in school, you had the tapes and then it was the CDs. Like, oh, hey, I got all these CDs. I can get all this music on this. Then you can go to MP3s and you can I can get more things. Everything's going digital. And now you got MP3s and on your phone and you got all thousands of music and songs and stuff like that. Now it's like, I don't even need all them songs. I can stream everything at a moment's notice. And then what happened? You like, man, I really want that vinyl.
Straight up.
I want that physical. I want that something.
I bought my first vinyl this year.
My wife literally just bought 6 vinyls in Toronto, and because it was a long story that I'll share on another episode. But she bought a vinyl from 1931. It was
damn! So she went into the crates.
But what was the dancing guys? Start with a C. Who?
We ain't got no texter there, so we can know.
I know they went viral just recently though, but like that old clip from 19.
The ones who rapped.
No, they was like dancing guys.
Yeah. I know what you're talking about. I can't think of the name.
I can't think of the name either. Okay,
but people want
$2
tangible. Yeah,
1931.
Vinyls are cheap though, if you really think about it.
But people want something to hold on to. People want that because now everything's so digital. You have all of this and it shifts. So I think that's also happening in these ways. Yeah. But one of the challenges is, as people give me that advice of, oh man, when y'all gonna print again, man, I get a subscription. I'd be like, no, you're not. When the last time you bought a magazine? No, man, I had a subscription a couple years ago. And I'd be like, that's crazy because Jet stopped printing in 2014. Because if you had that's pretty phenomenal. They must have got it with
that Field and Streams that gets sent to everybody's house.
Yeah,
Field and Streams is the only one that's still out there.
I get it from my brother for sure because he in the Bing. I got him National Geographic.
What? That is the worst thing to get sorted.
No, that's what he wanted. That's what he wanted. That's what he asked.
What is he gonna be doing with National Geographic?
Like he reads. He's very.
He just go to the library.
He not in the bank. Is he in the bank, man?
They have libraries.
I don't know. I ain't never been there.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
But those type of things, people want that nostalgia.
Yeah.
I kind of have been leaning in this thing called futuristic nostalgia, where we can be able to give you something that gives that emotional connection, that nostalgia that takes you back to your grandmama house, your mama house, all of that, but also doing it in a way that looks from a future forward standpoint to stuff that makes sense for right now. Yep. So for me, it's balancing those out. So you mentioned the digital aspect of it. Sure, we have to be, but I can't be. One of the other challenges that I have is I have to look at this not only from a cultural perspective, I have to look at it from a business and company perspective.
Yeah, because they were bankrupt.
And they were bankrupt. We bought it out of bankruptcy for a reason. It was bankrupt. So instead of trying to do the things that was already done that put you in bankruptcy, I have to look at it through a different lens. And another hard thing about my job is what you brought up earlier about the fact of it's Ebony and Jet. Ebony launched first as a digital platform in a very similar way that all the other digital platforms are out. The Essences and the Complexes and all of that, where you have the website, you have content, you go in there, you're getting impressions, people are coming there, people buying ads on there and all of that. But the difference between Ebony and Jet historically was really based on 2 factors. The size of the magazine, which was larger format from an Ebony, the smaller format from a Jet, and cadence. Ebony came out once a month, Jet came out once a week. Neither one of those things matter right now because the size of the magazine, what you mean size of the magazine? It's on your phone. That's how you get it. The size that doesn't correlate to anything you do and how you get media. And cadence, I can't wait a week to talk about something. It has to be right now in the moment because that's how we get media and marketing and all of that. It has to be in the moment. You talk about something that happened last week. You're like, man, that's old. Why are you still bringing that up? Why are you bringing up Kiki and Usher? Man, that was so like 3-4 weeks ago. You'd be like, no, that was like 7 days ago.
We know.
I mean, you got to remember that we do 2 times a week sometimes just to make sure that we
catch that part of it. So I can't do that. And also, I have to bring Jet back in a way that doesn't cannibalize what Ebony is already doing. So that's the other factor in my job. And so what I do is identify the places, spaces, and opportunities to be able to extract the Jet brand and project it into the ways that make sense right now. So that's why I don't call it Jet Magazine. I'm the president of Jet. Hard stop, because that's going to mean in the future something totally different and well beyond just the confines of this particular magazine. It has the ability to kind of extend from a merch, extend into technology, extend into, events and experiential, into art. All of these things are at our disposal because that correlation can really kind of move that part forward because Jet means black. It's the way to say you black without even saying you black.
Without question.
Like John H. Johnson, when he named Jet, he named it Jet because it symbolized black and speed. Because in 1951, the world was moving at a faster clip than he had ever seen in his life. And so that's kind of his kind of positioning. And so it allows us to be able to say that. I do want to also bring up something, especially because we're in Houston and the correlation. I talk about the Jet with social media before social media was ever invented. There's another thing that happened on September 15th, 1955. And this really took Jet into a whole different trajectory and a level of position in the black community. September 15th, 1955 issue was the Emmett Till issue.
Oh, wow.
Those images of Emmett Till were shown in Jet. And possibly without Jet, you wouldn't know that story because it wasn't like black people were not being killed in places like Money, Mississippi, around that time. That was happening. But when you saw those images of his mutilated body in Jet, it started a movement. A 26-year-old pastor of the Dexter Baptist Church in Montgomery, Alabama, by the name of Martin Luther King Jr., saw those images. That helped inspire him to do the work he did and fuel the civil rights movement. In the same way that George Floyd, you wouldn't know about George Floyd possibly if that recording had happened and it got put on Twitter and Facebook Live and Instagram Live. So I always say Jet was to Emmett Till in the civil rights movement what social media was to George Floyd and the Black Lives Matter movement. It literally helped start a movement in that end. And so that's kind of the stories or the correlations that I bring back up because, we as black, we all about receipts. I got the receipts all day long. If that didn't happen, that potentially you may not have known about that. And that's the reason why, if you ever watch the Emmett Till movie that they just did, in the middle, they show his body and then they show a Jet magazine coming in. Wow. And it shows kind of how Jet was able to fuel that civil rights movement and be able to show his body that then made the world see and then ultimately made the world have to do about it.
Man, this is like, I'm just really excited for what you're going to do with the brand.
While we drinking Grand.
Shout out to Kevin Hart and his team. Let's take a shot.
We got a plastic cup. Shout out to the Plastic Cup boys,
Well, so before we wrap, because we'll do something behind Patreon also. Yeah. We'll wrap here in a second. Let's make sure people know where to find you, where to find Jet, where they can do that.
Yes.
Your Jet story, all of that. Let them know where to find that, and we're going to do the rest behind Patreon.
Yes. Go check us out, My Jet Story or jetmag.com. If you want to share your Jet story, you can actually go there. You can upload your picture, and it'll put you on the cover of a Jet because that was going viral before going viral was a thing. Sure. That was that verification. Slight flex. I ran into Halle Berry.
First off, this is not really upset because they know how I feel about Halle Berry and Pam Grier.
Dude.
Like on this podcast, I'll fight and kill for them.
Dude, ran into Holly Berry in Cannes.
Man, I'm really mad at you right now.
But here's the crazy part about it.
You know what I'm saying?
Slight flex.
It's like Popeye when he eat the spinach.
I mean, it's a slight flex.
Man.
But here's what Holly Berry did. When I introduced myself, I'm Daylon, president of Jet. She literally stopped everybody like, no, I'm not taking any more pictures right now. I need to talk to Jet. Wow. You have no idea what Jet means to me. She's like, that was the first cover I was ever on. Bill Jones, the old Jet photographer, took my photo. That was such a pivotal moment in my entire life. Like, thank you so much, Jet. Like, she was literally looking. Wow. Another story, real quick, another little slight flex, ran into Yasin Bey.
Yeah, man, we got the box after this too. Now you know now you got the best rappers and
Yasin Bey tells me the story of and Anthony was there too. Because Anthony's like, well,
"That's your guy."
I'll be like, "What up, man?" And he's like, "Why is Most Def following me?" I was like, "His name is Yasin Bey."
Of course,
you know what I mean. He's like, "Got it, man. Mama named Clay. I'm gonna call him Clay." Type of situation. And so he told me the story of how he was making albums. And, you know, he had been on tour, Black Star, all this other stuff. And every time he would go to his grandfather's house, his grandfather kept every jet. Because that's another thing as Black people, we keep our jets.
Oh, they're stacks of them at my parents' house.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Hey, if they don't want them, can I take them?
I'll let them know. In Lafayette right now, there's
Let me know. I would take I'm collecting. I want to collect all the old jets, every single issue. I would love to have it. But he was saying how his grandfather, every time he would go over there, his grandfather would be like, I know you're doing this hippity hop stuff, but he would say you need to go get you a real job. They hiring down at the post office. You can get you some benefits. You can get, buy you like this. And he's like, nah, I'm good. Like, he's like, no, that ain't gonna last. You need to go get you a real job. Up until the day he appeared on the cover of Jet.
Wow.
He said that moment right there was so pivotal. He said, pivotal. He's like, that moment, my grandfather was like, I'm good. My son is on. My grandson is on Jet. He said he never asked me another question again about getting a real job because that was the verification. That's the stamp. That was it. That was the stamp of approval. That was that blue check that kind of comes on that end back to the social media
reference. Man. So, hey, another smooth correlation due to the Grand Coromino.
And I told you, where can they find you exactly? You gave them Jet. Where you got to do it. You got to do it. We got to tag you anyway. You got to be on some videos.
Follow Jet at Get Jet Mag. I'm fighting with Instagram right now to try to get at Jet. I was able to get it on Twitter before Elon Musk kind of messed everything up. But at Get Jet Mag on Instagram, follow us. Follow the movement on that end. My Instagram, which is probably I use the most, is Everybody Loves Daylon. Is my Instagram. You can follow some of the things that I get to do, that I get the pleasure of doing. But I definitely appreciate y'all, and also follow what we're trying to do. I'm trying to do some stuff here in Houston. Houston is a key market for me because it's an epicenter, but it a lot of times doesn't get seen as the epicenter of Blackness. Mm-hmm. And us, from a Jet perspective, it's all about highlighting these places and being able to put roots in these different places and understanding from a cultural perspective how it could be able to be amplified. So I've been down here having some great conversations. We're going to do some cool stuff. Once we kind of get it all figured out, I'll definitely try to come back on and be able to kind of share some of the things we're doing. But Houston is a super key market. Definitely follow us. Definitely support us. This Pinky Cole edition, it may still be some in stores. These were sold in stores. We're going to do some other cool things with them, some limited editions. We're going to drop some merch soon because, I'm always in merch.
Yeah, that's for real. Yeah.
Always in merch. Actually, I had some over there. I've been playing around with the theory of, I'm calling Jet, because everybody's talking about everything is the new Black.
The original Black.
It's the original Black. Jet is the original Black. Like, it is literally how you say you Black without saying you Black. Oh, my mama had a Jet subscription. Everybody's like, okay. Black. So it's being able to push that narrative, have that conversation. So love the support. Definitely follow us on all of that stuff. And,
all right,
we're going to try to make it happen.
That's 253. The rest of this, if y'all want to get it. Y'all are going to, people been asking about OU and LP. He know me as Breon.
If y'all want to get it, first off, you got to sign up for our Patreon.
Yes. Which has been growing, which is good.
Sign up.
Our chat can be very, very insane. And these videos in our Patreon.
Oh, we're going to get into it on the Patreon. I want the good.
This has been episode 253.
253.
You know what I'm saying? Get jet.
Yes.
But it's really just jet. And if you had a jet, you know what I'm saying? You black. So we going black. Over to the Patreon. We appreciate y'all coming out.
Nah, thank you. Thank you, and man.
We're transporting in 3, 2.
Let's go.